Hi there, Paul Pukis with Mosaic Insurance Alliance. Thank you for visiting our research page for homeowners insurance. And I'd like to jump right into it. What I want to talk about today, just a couple things. Um, we've got 10 ways that you can save money on your home insurance, which I'm sure everyone is very interested to know about. Then I want to talk a little bit about if you're out there shopping for quotes or want to review your coverage, to make sure that you have these couple items that are very, very small with regards to cost, but very, very big when it comes to coverage. And then we'll touch a little bit about what happens if you go out of the country and how your homeowner's insurance takes care of that. And then we'll finish up with some jewelry stuff, on the home policy, off the home policy, how to take care of those things. Those are some of the most common questions we get. So jumping into the 10 ways that you can save on your homeowner's insurance. Number one is working with one insurance company, combining policies. You hear the same thing with discounts on your auto insurance, but it makes sense to look at that option with your home insurance. Now, as an independent agent, we have multiple companies to work with. So if it's actually better for you just from a price standpoint of putting your auto insurance with one company and your home insurance with a company that just specializes in home insurance, and the overall package is better, well, we have the ability to do that, and that's what's great about being an independent agent. So that was number one, use one insurance company if it makes sense. Number two, raise your deductible. The lower your deductible, the higher the premium you pay, because you put more of the risk on the insurance company's shoulders instead of on yours. And that's where working with us, you can find out if it really makes sense to do that. If you go from $1,000 to say $2,000 or $1,500 deductible, is the savings that you're going to see on your policy, does that make it worthwhile to move forward and make that change, knowing that you'll take 3 to 6 or maybe 15 years to recover the cost? Well, if it may not make sense, but if it's a short time frame, it may make a lot of sense. So again, number two is take a look at your deductible. Number three, new is better. Home insurance companies tend to give discounts of up to 30% for new construction. Now, I understand that if you're living in a home built in the 70s, you're not going to go out and buy a new home just to lower your home insurance. That doesn't make sense. But you may find ways to make upgrades or renovations or additions or changes like that that could help out as well. Number four, location, location, location. Just like in the real estate world, where you live has a big part of how much you pay. Now again, you may not be changing that based on your current residence, but there are some things where if you find out or there's possibilities for a fire station to be moving into your area when there's not one right now, that's the type of stuff to levy for in your community, because that will drastically lower your insurance premium. Number five, you want to insure the house, not the land, and that's something where some folks get confused that market value, the money they paid for the home, is the same as what their insurance policy should be, and that could be nowhere further from the truth. I mean, that is absolutely not the case. Your home insurance policy needs to rebuild your house if something bad happens. The land is going to be there, so we don't need to worry about that stuff. So work with an agent to have the correct coverage for the house, not the land. Number six, don't insure what you don't have. What I mean by that is, when you get your policy every year, take a look at the coverages. If you feel that something is simply out of line, you might be paying for coverage on things that you don't have. And that can be reviewing the cost to rebuild the house, reviewing the cost of your personal property. We work with different companies that allow you to change your personal property amount. So we may be able to find a number that makes some more sense there, which could lower your premium. Number seven, being better safe than sorry. And what that's referring to is any type of an alarm systems or sprinkler systems that you can install in the home gives discounts. Burglar alarms, that type of thing will give you discounts. Now, the discounts aren't going to pay for the service, But it may knock a couple months of the service off or whatever the case might be, and you'll be better protected. Number 8, where there's smoke, there's fire. And what that's referring to is there's about 23 to 27, I have to remember the statistic, home fires a year based on cigarettes. So if you're able to, if some companies give discounts if the entire household doesn't smoke. So that's one option. Number 9, group discounts. Maybe you're a member of AAA, maybe you're an AARP member, maybe you work at a company that provides group discounts. We work with so many insurance companies that we are able to find group discounts if they're available. So that's another one to keep in mind. And number 10 is sticking with an insurance company when you find one that makes sense. That doesn't mean that we're not going to proactively review your account on an annual basis to make sure that you are with the right company when it comes to the best overall price and the best overall coverage. But once we find a company that it makes sense, we want to try and get some of those longevity discounts built in. So that's a positive thing to reduce your payment. Moving along, now we're going to talk about the right type of coverage, and there's 3 main things that I want to touch on that seem to get overlooked if you're just talking to an agent who wants to just sell you a policy rather than advise you and consult you on the options you have available and what type of coverage is there for the best bang for your buck. The first being additional living expense. There are some insurance companies out there that only offer a 12-month period of coverage for additional living expense. So what this is if your house burns to the ground and your neighborhood kids are roasting marshmallows and hot dogs over what used to be your house when you come back from work one day, the insurance company is responsible to put you up in a place to live until your house is rebuilt. Now, 12 months may seem like a long time. Many situations where that is significantly lower coverage than you need. It takes longer than that to rebuild a house. You can have conflicts with the general contractor, whatever. So look for a company that gives you 24 months or a large dollar amount for the loss of use coverage. Avoid companies that only offer 12 months. Next is medical. Medical coverage is very inexpensive coverage for anyone that gets hurt on the property except the homeowner. A lot of companies will just quote you $1,000. I highly recommend you max that out with most companies at $5,000. The difference is so small in what it costs, but the value is so big. My wife went to the hospital in the ambulance, and that bill was over $1,000. So it just, $1,000 doesn't cover stuff anymore. Next is liability. Now this is if you're responsible for someone getting hurt on your property or someone getting hurt at a softball game, someplace where you're outside of your home. And why this is important is we recommend at least starting with the minimum coverage of $500,000 in liability. And again, the dollar cost to you monthly is so small. We're talking about less than $1 a month to go from $300,000, which is where a lot of companies start, to $500,000. $200,000 of coverage for less than $1 a month makes a lot of sense. And no one sues for $300,000 anymore. It's going to be $1 million. $500,000 gets you there. We can talk about the umbrella later. Next part, moving on, is talking about when you go out of the country. Your home insurance policy is only good in the United States, Canada, Puerto Rico, and any other U.S. possession or territory. So if you go down to Mexico and you're on a jet ski that you rent, and you bonk into some 10-year-old that's floating around in the water, there's no coverage. So that's one thing to keep in mind. An umbrella policy would go and extend worldwide. Again, different topics. So just be aware that there's no coverage for you outside of the places I listed. And to finish up, one of the most common things that we see on insurance policy for a home policy is jewelry coverage, where someone puts the wedding ring and the wedding band and that on the policy. Be careful of this. If there's a loss of that piece of jewelry and you claim it on your insurance policy or home insurance policy, you will see a rate increase on your home insurance. No way about it, even though nothing happened to the home. We work with a couple companies that do nothing but jewelry insurance. And there's two reasons this is positive for you. One, the coverage is typically better and the cost is normally lower. Crazy how that works, but when you work with a company that specializes in jewelry, they can do that. Number two, if you have a claim, it doesn't affect your home premium. And that's very good news for you. Hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to talking with you later.